欢迎来到区块先生的每日直播。那我们今天有那个 Benny 是 CryptoKitty 的 co-founder。那我们现在就来让 Benny 做一下自我介绍。
I'm based in Vancouver now, and most of the team, the CryptoKitties team, is in Vancouver, Canada. So my background's around operations, marketing, psychology, a bunch of things. But mainly, like, I started off in business school and then dropped out and started working at startups. So this is kind of like the third or the fourth one that I've worked on. And so that's a little bit of my background. I spent about the last year and a half working on software as a service, basically software peer products for B2B enterprise. CryptoKitties kind of started out as like a fun experiment. We were in a room kind of similar to this, and we were brainstorming ideas of, hey, we should, really explore this blockchain technology. And at that point, I didn't really know much about blockchain. And we were like, okay, well, let's build something fun that, everyone else could actually participate in, right? We saw that there were so many people building blockchain technologies. As we all pretty familiar with ICOs, right? It's very big. A lot of people are ICOing. It went from like one a week to like hundreds a week. And it's really hard for normal people to understand it, in my opinion, right? It was mostly for investors or people who have a lot of money, or they just kind of want to buy in. So for us, we kind of came up with this idea of, cats kind of own the internet, right? There's cats all over the internet, and we were thinking, what would make blockchain more accessible than putting cats onto the blockchain? So that kind of funny sentence started off, we're laughing at it, and then it kind of got very serious. And then we started building, seeing if we could challenge ourselves to build something similar.
Wow, that's really cool. What is CryptoKitty if they don't know about it?
So CryptoKitties is one of the world's first and biggest blockchain games. It's known globally, and now that's the reason why I'm here, is doing a tour for Taiwan, Singapore, Hong Kong, and hopefully in mainland China. But essentially, it's a game where you could buy or adopt a kitty, and you could sell the kitty. You could also breed the kitty. So if you had two of them, you could put them together, and then you'll get a surprise kitten at the end. So that's kind of the main concept. But the other interesting thing is, if you have a very unique kitten, you could offer up for siring services. Essentially, people pay you to have a baby with your kitten, so you get paid the fee. So that's kind of the very simple concept of CryptoKitties.
Okay, and we know that when CryptoKitty first came out, it clogged up the entire Ethereum network, and we saw the Ethereum gas station, the gas price skyrocket. And would you say, like, if CryptoKitty was on, let's say, another network, a non-Ethereum network, it would probably never work in terms of if it has to be on blockchain? But because Ethereum has the most nodes and able to sustain and prove that it is possible to play a game on Ethereum. So would you say that CryptoKitty, in many ways, it's for, let's say, a beginner or someone that does not even know what cryptocurrency is, someone that does not know blockchain? Because we see right now there's multiple ICO that people often say that, hey, you got to understand the underlying technology. Hey, you got to know what is distributed ledger, what is the ERC20 token, and then you have to know how to use my Ether wallet to use it. But would you say, like, now CryptoKitty, many people that play it, maybe because they just like you said, the meme, the CryptoKitty, the cute kitty, and then they came and say, hey, what is this game? And then they went to, let's say, Chrome to download MetaMask and just want to play it.
Yeah, I think that's great. I think that was always the goal for us, is about education and mainstream adoption. And I think that's also the case for many of your projects and Mr. Block too. So for us, when the first week we saw that it was like 88,000 people downloaded MetaMask. These are new people, right? And that's just in the first week. And the different headlines that we had with general press, right? Not just cryptos, like BBC and Vice. Most of these general publications at that time were publishing a lot of Bitcoin price, or even just talking about the very basic debate of, oh, is Bitcoin going to be better than gold? And that's kind of the debate that happens a lot. And for the people who are involved in the Ethereum space, there's not a lot of dApps or decentralized apps that we could rally towards. And even if there are ones that we rally towards, typically they're an ICO, right? They're not really focused on, I want to get your mom, your dad, your uncle to understand blockchain, right? I think that when I was explaining it to my parents, they were just like, what? Like before I was explaining what is Ethereum, what is Ether, and they're just like, I don't get it. But then the funny thing is we got into the Apple Daily News in Taiwan, in Taipei, and I saw the news reporter like talking about CryptoKitties, and I was like, Mom, look at this. She's explaining it to people in Taiwan, and they're like, oh wow, okay, I see. So I think the accessibility is super key for the rest of the adoption of the blockchain.
Definitely. And I totally agree that, because I often find that for technology to really succeed and reach the mass market, it's finding that right angle. And I think definitely CryptoKitty is one of that angle and gateway where users are not in this market just for the 5x, the 10x, the 20x, or looking to go to the moon. Maybe for a healthy market, there should always be a user where they're just in because they see the value, they like it, and then they play it. I explained that it's kind of like credit card at the same time. You don't tell people that uses MasterCard, England, or Visa and said that you got to understand what the technology is before you use it. But now the incentive is it's amazing. Like you mentioned, there are tens of thousands of people downloading MetaMask, and then they're not in it just because of CryptoKitty is gonna make them a millionaire, but because the incentive is to play it just like Neopets or Pokemon or Yu-Gi-Oh! CryptoKitty, it's not only just a fun game. There are many things behind it that it proved that it is possible for two individuals that don't know each other. Maybe the one guy's from Taiwan, another guy is in Canada, but they can trust each other based on Ethereum and smart contract and do a digital asset transaction. With that being said, what do you see the future of this now that CryptoKitty has proven it?
Like the future of CryptoKitties as the game?
Future of CryptoKitty as a game, and that CryptoKitty proving the concept that it is possible for digital asset transactions without knowing each other. Because past, we haven't really seen, this has been talked about, like smart contract it's able to do this. We saw ICO as well, but CryptoKitty proved that it's not an ICO, but you have two digital assets. These kitty could be some digital assets. A digital asset, B, it could be a digital couch, it could be a digital t-shirt, but because you trust each other and you do that transaction, this could be a VR world. So CryptoKitty really proved that in a massive scale. So I guess what would you say that now that it has proven the implementation of the future that it could take?
Yeah, so I think like, you know, the technology is so new right now. Everyone is essentially trading coins, right? Everybody's going back and forth, creating a coin, creating a token, and going back and forth trading it and doing arbitrage and doing a bunch of these fancy things, right? And you brought up a good point that, you know, CryptoKitties was one of the first big use cases of a digital asset that is non-fungible, very different from a fungible token, and it is able for people around the world to transfer it, right? So I think if we were to look at it in two angles, one is physical and one is digital. In regards to digital, I think that's where we sit right now, right? CryptoKitties is a digital token or digital item, asset, and it's being transferred from anybody around the world. There's no third party, there's no one really involved in this, right? And when we're talking about price, like we had a bunch of kitties sold for more than $100,000 USD, right? And you know, that's quite amazing. But if you think about it, that $100,000 or that kitty could be easily just transferred, right? And it's like in the near future, if it is the virtual reality world or any other digital world, maybe augmented reality, that form of digital asset backed by or purchased by fiat or even crypto in a conversion would be very, very interesting. But I also think that the physical world would be very interesting thing to explore too. What I mean by that is, I've heard people, you know, building art collections where then other investors could pool in the money and then kind of have a portion, have this art sort of part of their portfolio. But then there's also a conversation of like fractional asset distribution where we do a very similar model. We put it into a safe and then we create tokens for this art, and then basically then we distribute these tokens to certain people. So you and I could own a token that is in the digital world that equates to a physical asset that's stored and locked away and maybe floating in the ocean somewhere, that nobody could crack or hack, right? So that kind of physical to digital is very, very interesting. And right now, I mean, we're really focused on the crypto and the digital side, but I think like there's a lot of smart people. One of them is that we're working with the Decentralized Art Gallery, and then there's people who are doing the Rare Art Festival, who are kind of analyzing, hey, you know, contemporary art, like street art, how do we put that on the blockchain? How do we have all the benefits of the blockchain, but for art specifically? And I think that most of the adoption of blockchain will be games, will be entertainment, and then we could then start thinking about more bigger things like real estate. We could start thinking about really, really big assets, right? And how can we distribute those into individual pieces?
Wow.
Yeah.
It's amazing to see how such a cute cat and meme can go so far and with such a big plan and value behind it. And lastly, I heard there's an iOS app that people have been praying for it to come out. So could you tell us a little bit about it and when will it come out and so on?
Yeah, so we're planning for the release next week for the Spring Festival. Yeah, the app will be fully translated to traditional Chinese and simplified. And yeah, we have some surprises with fancy cats that are specially themed for Spring Festival. And then we also have a 888, so 888 cat that will be up for auction. So you know, when we were set out to kind of launch this into Asia, the main reason is our top 3 audiences is the first is the United States, obviously, because of where we're located in Canada, and then second was Russia, which is pretty interesting. And then the third one is in China and also Greater China and Taiwan and Singapore and all the rest. So we were like, okay, we already have people who know about CryptoKitties here. Why don't we just come here and kind of deliver a localized product where people can then now get their moms and dads here in Taiwan, right? Because the app right now is just on desktop, and you guys are all mobile first here, so it's kind of difficult to play the game.
Yeah, definitely. And well, MetaMask or some sort will be integrated within the app as well, right?
So there will be no MetaMask in this mobile iOS. We have our own wallet that we've created just so you could play this game more easily. Yeah, MetaMask is a great wallet. It's a great wallet for Chrome extension and Firefox extension. But as you know, you can't have Chrome extensions with mobile Chrome or whatever. So we had to kind of build something on our own.
Understand. And one last note is that it's amazing to see, like, you know, CryptoKitty didn't do an ICO and you guys are doing roadshows and caring about the community, like coming to this interview, talking to people and doing meetup. And I think there's a lot for ICO and blockchain team to take away from this, to show that you don't have to raise some, I always say that raising Series B, Series C amount of money, like 20 million, 30 million, telling people to take some crazy risk. But at the same time, you could be like CryptoKitty, where you're able to do a blockchain company, a blockchain product, and proving to people that it is possible. And at the same time, coming to do roadshows. And I think there's a lot for the community and the blockchain to learn from CryptoKitty.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for inviting me onto your show.
Thank you. 谢谢。所以我们今天就最后要谢谢大家，就是来看就是区块先生的这个每日直播。